All right, welcome back, everybody. We are live with the Fit Expo experience, and I am really excited to welcome the next guest. This is Bernadette Judge, an RN in therapeutics health, and today we're going to talk about how the gut microbiome impacts your athletic performance. And this is really, really important, whether you are a hardcore athlete or an enthusiast. And I'm really excited to welcome Bernadette. She's a wealth of knowledge. I am an avid user of Microbiome health supplements. We're going to talk a little bit about that today. But I know you have a personal story about the microbiome that I think would be great to share.
Yes. So I'm probably going to age myself a little bit right now, but if anyone remembers P90X when it first came out, like everyone jumped on the bandwagon, and I did too. And it's a good bandwagon. It's a great bandwagon. And after a year of it, I was in the best shape of my life since high school. I was feeling great. Exercise was just so much more easier. I was stronger. I was really healthy. And then I got hurt moving a patient. And I heard the snap, I heard the crackle, I kind of ignored it, and continued my day, and then work sent me to urgent care. And they pretty much just said it was a strain. And I said, okay. And, I took ibuprofen just when it was inflamed and when I was in pain. So fast forward a year, and all of a sudden I started having really bad stomach problems. I was having these episodes. And it may be a little TMI, but I could not control the diarrhea. I was throwing up. I always had a burning sensation. So I went and got an endoscopy. They tested me for H. pylori, C. diff. It all came back normal, except it did show that my stomach was so inflamed. Yes. So they said, you need to really stop using your ibuprofen. And I said, well, as true fashion, healthcare professionals are normally the worst patients. And the minute I stopped using the ibuprofen, my shoulder pain came back with a vengeance. I, started losing the use of my shoulder. Wow. And went in to see my doctor, who I had a labrum tear and my bicep tendon was severely damaged. So I ended up having 2 surgeries. So healing from 2 shoulder surgeries, I was very, inactive. I had taken so much ibuprofen, Percocet for the pain, antibiotics, that I destroyed my gut microbiome. And it took me a very long time to realize, oh, it is my gut microbiome. That's what's really just causing all this fatigue. I'm just not getting better. And, when you're not getting better, your injury doesn't heal either. So I was always constantly in pain and just tired. So I started to heal my gut microbiome, and I noticed a huge difference after that. And I didn't realize everything that I was putting into my body, because, you're laying there the first couple of days, all the comfort food, it was just destroying everything. And I was feeding the bad bacteria and just killing off anything that was good that was left.
Yeah. I think, boy, we've been talking a lot about the vast importance of a healthy gut on your overall immunity, on your mood. It is the theme of the day. And I think people don't often understand that a simple just taking a probiotic is not necessarily going to be the answer to undo a bad diet. What were you eating at the time that maybe you later discovered was contributing to your microbiome decline, the health of your gut?
Well, I wasn't eating healthy. I was so sad.
This is not to put you on the spot. I just think it's something that people can relate with.
Yeah, well, so it was not eating healthy because I was so depressed. I couldn't work and I was in so much pain. Sometimes you don't think, like, when you hurt your shoulder, you're like, oh, it's just my shoulder. But your shoulder actually, little movements that you would never think of hurt your shoulder. So, my comfort food would go to is pizza and ice cream. And sugar is horrible for your gut microbiome.
And so sugar in the pizza, most pizza, not all pizza, there's good pizza, but conventional pizza with a lot of, sugar in the sauce and in the crust itself is carbohydrate that turns into sugar.
If I would have known what I know now, then I would have definitely done things differently. I would have had cauliflower pizza all the time.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and the bottom line is that we only know what we know until we discover something new. And the inflammatory response in your body that was, the response from the pain was exacerbated by how you were eating, because that's an inflammatory response too. And then your ability to heal from there. What was the big change that you made once you realized you had to turn things around?
Well, I finally said enough was enough. I was tired of feeling the way I did. And I stumbled across an article about the microbiome, and I started going down that rabbit hole. And since I couldn't go back to work in the capacity that I was doing because I was in outpatient surgery, I ended up working for a stem cell clinic and with an integrative doctor who taught me a little bit more, because it definitely took time. It took, a good year and a half to destroy my gut microbiome. And it probably took another, 1 to 2 years to really get it back to where it was okay. It was okay to have a cheat day. It wouldn't ruin, I wouldn't come back with symptoms again. So yeah, it was just learning what to eat, what was learning all about the microbiome. So it's definitely interesting and so unique. It's a group of microorganisms, mostly bacteria and fungi, and every person has their own microbiome that's unique to them. Animals have a microbiome, plants have a microbiome, and even soil has a microbiome. So it's really, really neat. And research is just barely scratched the surface of what the microbiome is capable of. And for us, most of our microbiome cells are in our stomach. And that's how we're learning more about the gut and what is produced in the gut. And I like to kind of think of the good, because we always think bacteria is bad, and it really isn't. So I like to think of the good bacteria as like the superheroes, and the bad bacteria as the villains, and they kind of are just down there fighting a little bit.
Yeah.
So yeah,
you got to armor up, and I think just for everybody listening, and by the way, if you are with us live, please feel free to use the chat feature to ask questions. Bernadette is a full RN, so it's really a unique opportunity to ask questions to somebody with a medical background. As we're talking about this, I think most people think that when they have gut issues, it is going to manifest itself in things like what you mentioned. It could be constipation. It could be the opposite. It could be upset stomach. They feel it in their gut, but the truth is it manifests itself in other ways too. You could just feel incredibly fatigued. You could see it in your skin. Your skin looks tired. You're having a hard time keeping your energy level up. These are all symptoms of a gut that is out of sorts as well. And so with the healing of that, I'm assuming you fixed up the way you ate and started eating, I would assume, more probiotic rich foods, getting the prebiotics in there. You can do that fiber, and onions and garlic and things like that. Did you start taking any supplements as well? Because I know that people are often leaning into supplements to support good gut health.
I did take a supplement called the Microbiome Master, and I still continue to take it to this day because, during the holidays, I do indulge and eat a little too much sugar, and sugar feeds bad bacteria. And when it takes over, you start craving it, and it's just a vicious cycle. Yeah. So I will probably do the microbiome as a detox 2 to 3 times a year. And it's great because it gets in there and it helps kill off the bad bacteria. And you can start reintroducing all the good food and start nourishing the good bacteria. And it's just so helpful because some of us expect results right away, and it is a process. And I feel like when I do the detox, it's a process for me, and it holds me accountable because, I'm taking the supplement, I'm making sure I'm eating well, I'm staying away from fast food, processed food, refined carbohydrates, and you're really making that conscious effort. So I think that was the turning point. I had already started eating well, and I started exercising again. And once I started exercising again, I started feeling better. And people think, oh, well, exercise isn't like if you walk for 20 minutes, it's not really exercise. Well, it is if you're at 0 and you're trying to get back to 100. So
yeah,
just
I mean,
the
it's movement at the end of the day. It's movement and getting your body to, to increase your heart rate. And I think when people look at exercise and movement as an aid versus, unless you are a hardcore athlete or you're training for a competition, most people just want to have a strong heart and strong cardiovascular system and have everything flowing, so to speak. And that looks very different. So movement is just really key. From an RN standpoint, I mean, you've obviously gone through extensive medical training. Did you ever stop to think like, wow, I am just learning now about the gut microbiome. Why didn't they talk about that when I was studying? Why is it that the two seem to almost live in different camps unless you are seeking alternative or holistic health, that is not something that's taught?
That's a really good question, because I don't know why they don't teach this. The research out there is, it just keeps building and building and building. And still, my oldest is going through nursing school, so I'll ask him questions, and they're not teaching really much about.
I was going to say, could it be a product of just like, we know more now, so we're passing that on?
Well, no, they're still not really learning about it. They're saying that, yes, we see connections, but they're not really letting them know what these connections are, because the gut microbiome, it deals with your mood. Like your serotonin is made there. Like they don't really teach us serotonin is made in your gut, and serotonin affects, your moods to make you happy. But it also aids in digestion, and dopamine is another neurotransmitter that's made in the gut. So rationally you can think, well, if your gut's bad, then your gut's probably not producing it, but you don't know that there's a whole little environment in there that you can keep happy, that will keep producing all of the neurotransmitters and hormones we need to feel good and have overall wellness.
Yeah, that's such a great valid point. Like when you don't feel good, which your gut knows that there is truth behind the expression, I feel it in my gut. When that's off and then you're not feeling good, maybe you're not even like that motivated to go exercise. And let's face it, we are living in unprecedented times right now. And I pray that we will watch this in the future, not too long of a future, and we will go, yeah, those were tough times and we're on the other side of it. But for right now, we're in it. And I think it's super, super important that we are cognizant of it, not dwelling in it, but cognizant of it, because if we're not, it's just a spiraling cycle. We don't feel good, then we don't eat good, we don't move, and it's just like this, down into the rabbit hole of no return. So do you have recommendations on what people listening here today can do on a regular basis to A, keep their gut check in health, and B, keep their mood positive so that they want to exercise, that they want to eat better, that they want to do good things for themselves and their families and not get caught up in what I'm terming low-grade depression? There's a lot of low-grade depression out there right now.
I wanted to circle back because you mentioned like immunity and everything that's going on right now. And I think that's very important because our immune system and our gut are like best friends.
Yeah.
They talk to each other all the time. So if our gut health is not doing well and pathogenic, opportunists come in, the immune system will be affected because the gut can't tell the immune system, hey, go ahead and fight, or hey, it doesn't distinguish the good and the bad.
Wait, you said the phrase that I need to write down. That is the phrase of the day. Pathogenic opportunists. What? You just blew my mind just now. That is like the best phrase ever. Because can we just dive into that for a second? We have pathogens in our gut, in our intestines, E. coli is a living part of us. The problem
Mhm.
is when it becomes out of whack, and that's when we can get really, really sick. So that's what you mean by that, right?
Yes. And a lot of people with autoimmune disorders, they have gut issues. And it's pretty much the gut that they're having a miscommunication, right? Or you're fighting with your best friend. They're not telling your immune system that, hey, the good guys are here, don't attack them. They're just going to start thinking everything is bad. So
Yeah.
And it's because all those little opportunists come in and wreak havoc.
You just blew my mind just now. That was like the best thing ever. So true. So that careful balance and diversity in the gut microbiome, because what we're finding in the research is that you may be taking a probiotic, but the problem is it may not be diverse enough. And they're doing research where they're taking somebody with a predisposition or like a condition like schizophrenia, and they're adding a variety of bacteria to their systems, and they're finding that it is making a huge difference. So it's not just about like the general term bacteria, it's about the right diverse kind of bacteria. How do you think we can ensure that we can get that diversity that our gut needs?
Don't be a picky eater. No.
Yeah, eat more things.
Introduce your body with different types of bacteria, and they're found in all different foods. Just having a well-balanced diet of vegetables, fruits, lean protein, good carbohydrates. You can use a prebiotic to help your stomach start creating these good guys. And then just, eating a lot of natural probiotics. And if you're not getting enough of them, take a supplement. It's okay, because there are some picky eaters, and they don't like. I love sauerkraut. A lot of people don't like sauerkraut. I love kimchi. A lot of people don't like that. I could just eat a bowl of it. So a lot of people aren't in tune with some of the fermented foods that are just so rich naturally. So I would definitely say try and be diverse. Be conscious of your environment also, what you're putting on your body, like where you live, your environment.
Yes.
That can definitely change up the microbiome, because our microbiome has been developing since we were born.
Yeah.
They found that even the way we were birthed, if you were vaginally birthed or if you were C-section, you already have different.
Yeah, and if you were breastfed or bottle fed. And, besides fermented foods, which are fantastic and easy to get in, and yogurt, which is amazing, just be wary of sugar added, because a lot of people ask me, like, well, what about kombucha? Or what about like the probiotic drinks that are out there? Well, part of the problem with some of them is they're adding sugar. And so it basically defeats the purpose. So just be aware of that when you're looking at labels, to look at the added sugar in there as well. Let's talk a little bit about therapeutics, because you mentioned the Microbiome Master. And also I want to talk a little bit about the cleanse and when you think we should be cleansing.
Well, if you start having symptoms, like we discussed, the GI issues, you start having rashes and you can't get rid of the rash, like acne and inflammation and eczema, they all love each other. And inflammation of the gut is inflammation of the whole body. So it may be, you can buy all the product in the world to get rid of acne, but if it's your gut that's the problem, it's not going to get fixed. And
and that, by the way, for all the parents out there who have kids with cystic acne or even just some blemishing, please look at their diet, because that is not just going to be topically treated with some alcohol. It's often hormonal, but you also do need to check out what they're eating, because let's face it, most teenagers' diets are not the best.
And it can be hard because they want to fight back.
Yeah.
Like, but why can't I have these greasy chips?
Yes. Yeah. So in terms of cleansing, do you have a recommendation just on frequency?
If you're just trying to upkeep, I recommend like quarterly, maybe 3 or 4 times a year. If you have a specific condition, like we've heard, you know, the buzzwords, leaky gut, SIBO, all these type of different things, like a candida overgrowth in your stomach, then I would definitely start slow, because it will be easier for you to really make it a habit. That's what I like about when I go and detox, because it kind of resets the way I'm eating, because I'm going back to just eating whole foods and foods that are going to, you know, make me healthy. And then the supplements you would take, and you may have some die-off reactions, which is good, because this means that these pathogens are leaving your body. And with our cleanse, we have, it's the microbiome, the colon master, and the liver master. So I like to say, if you're prone to constipation, I definitely would take the microbiome and the colon master together. And then after all of that, when you've killed off the toxins and they've left your body, you don't want to leave your liver overburdened. And that's why the liver is the last step in that, so that we can kind of detox the liver, because it plays such a huge part in getting rid of waste from our body.
Yeah, I think this is so key. Is cleansing is not just a one part piece. It's not just, you know, drink a bunch of juice and then call it a day. I crack up because honestly, I'm like, I'm not going to say all, a lot of those juice cleanses have way too much sugar in them, which doesn't make any sense to me. So you need to support your whole system and your cleansing organs, your filtration organs, where that kidney support comes in, or the liver, kidney, all of that whole system into play. I've placed that up on in the chat right now, and I know you guys are doing a giveaway, which is super exciting. Can you talk a little bit about that? I'm going to post the link to the giveaway too.
Yeah, if you sign up, we're going to pick 3 random people and give you the master cleanse for free to try out.
That's so cool. And how long does the cleanse take?
It can take 2 or 3 months. Some people like to take each supplement individually. So that would take 3 months, because you would take microbiome, colon, and then liver. But like for me, it takes me 2 months, because I will do the microbiome and the colon master together, and then I'll do the liver.
Okay, awesome. So I have that up on the screen too, and you can just click on the link here to enter to win. So is there anything that you like, is there one aha that you have come to understand in this personal journey of yours, balancing your RN training and education and this world of whole health wellness, that you wish you could have told your younger self?
I think my aha is that you can use both integrative medicine. There's a time and a place for antibiotics. I'm not against antibiotics. You absolutely need them, but we really need to start learning that our bodies are so amazing and they can naturally heal themselves. So conventional medicine is always, you know, here, take this pill, take that pill. And you don't realize that maybe I didn't need a pill. Maybe I could have just tweaked this in my diet, or I could have exercised a little bit more, or, you know, sweating is just detoxing. So when you exercise, you're doing your own little detox. Just different foods like cilantro, you know, binds up toxins and helps to get them out of you. Yeah. So for me, that aha is that we can do both. And I think society as a whole hasn't gotten there yet. There's this big struggle between both. And I hope more people have that aha where, oh, we can't, you know, like there's a time and place for everything.
Yeah. That's so fantastic. We have a question actually from Trish, who's a good friend of mine. And she is asking about, she says, what can a person do that is partially paralyzed from the waist down to get them things moving again? I'm assuming she's talking about, you know, bowel movement. And I know sometimes like people might be uncomfortable with that. That's TMI, but look, it's part of it. Like food in, waste out. Like we got to get it out quick. And my dad, quite frankly, he has a catheter. He had cancer and had his bladder removed and has, so I hope Dad don't hate me that I said that, but has issues with that too. So what can a person do if they're in that situation?
To address the first one, getting the bowels moving, our colon master is great for that. So you can either eat foods that encourage bowel movement or supplement with foods that encourage bowel movement. And for someone who is a little bit more sedentary and is more worried about infection in your father's state, the microbiome is also great for that, because one of the things actually, one of the ingredients is black hull nut, and it is great, and it's been used thousands of years for antibacterial and antifungal. And we have a bunch of other herbs that are like that would help fight against the infections if you were getting one, or just keep the body healthy.
So it's really, you know, I think food and supplements and ultimately what we're trying to do to help our bodies, it's the synergistic effect of taking things simultaneously that would be more effective than doing one thing or the other. And I think, you know, it's really important for everybody listening today to understand that there's never going to be a silver bullet. You know, it's never going to be a one thing that does it for you. But it's a matter of habit and a matter of, you know, getting into a routine with things where you're doing things consistently. And also the merits of hydration. I have, and I keep putting it, and sorry, I hope it's not distracting to my speakers today, but I will drink 4 of these today with lemon. And I need to get a straw so I don't hide my face, but water with lemon is like one of the best things that you can do to flush your system and get the toxins out of your body. Can you give any sort of parameters around hydration and the impact of that on your gut?
So the more hydrated you stay, the better, because it affects the mucosal lining of your intestines. And when you're hydrated, then it keeps those guys, you know, slippery and things moving per se. So yes, water is great.
Does soda count in that?
No.
Beer count in that?
No.
I have to make you laugh for a second. My dad, I'm like, Dad, you got to drink more. So all the things, you know, I'm like food, probiotics, get him on everything. And I'm like, Dad, how much water are you drinking? He goes, I drink maybe 2 bottles, but I drink beer every day. Yeah, you can't count that in your hydration. He's like, why not? It's mostly water. I'm like, yeah, but it's the other stuff that's in it that's defeating the purpose. But, you know.
Yeah.
Old habits die hard sometimes, but if we can make baby steps, that can make a big difference. Bernadette, we've put the links to follow you on Instagram at nurseb_wellness. And also Neputics. So we've done quite a few lives together, which I really enjoy. So everybody, make sure you follow Neputics Health on Instagram, because quite possibly we may be popping up live at any given moment to chat about one of these fascinating topics. And I think every conversation we have sheds some new light and some insights for people to use. So Bernadette, thank you so much. This was so fantastic.
Yes, thank you so much for having me.
Health and being a wellness warrior. We appreciate your wisdom and your knowledge so much.
Thank you.
And everybody, please make sure to enter to win. Boy,
yes, we're excited to give them away.
Fantastic. So enter to win. We've got 3 prizes. And when are we going to pick a winner? How long? We got to give people a deadline.
A week. We're going to pick it in a week.
In a week. Okay. So if you did not listen live, make sure you still enter and let your friends know. And stick around. We have more fantastic topics and speakers coming up. Our next speaker will be in 10 minutes. Make sure you don't go away. Thanks, Bernadette.
Thank you. Have a good day.
You too.